Alright, motherfuckers. Motherfuckers. Here we go. Free Gaza. Okay. Ray, I wasn't even going to talk about that today, honestly. Of all the shit that I got pulled up on my phone here, I wasn't even going to do a stream today. I've had a fucking shitty day. So I'm going to unload it on you, my faithful viewers. After all the shit that my computer just put me through, too, for the last hour trying to get this shit set up, I was ready to just fucking toss it, man. Just say, fuck all this. But I got so much shit up here that I gotta get done here, man. It's the problem with doing a show like this. You got news stories, and if you just don't feel like doing a show that day, and then the next day you also don't feel like doing it, and then the next day it's just, you're commenting on fucking days old shit that everyone's already heard. So I gotta find a little balance here. And I'd like to be able to just rant about shit at the end. Which I probably won't do, because then everyone will just think, oh, you're just coming on here to bitch. You're bitching about your life is so bad, and you just, instead of doing anything to fix it, you're just getting on the fucking internet and complaining about it. Which I guess there would be some truth to that statement, but... I also wasn't going to drink tonight, but after the world of shit I had to go through today at work, and the fact that I decided to jump on here, I figured, why not? So where to begin? I got 10 things pulled up. I don't want to talk in depth on all of them. I guess we can go in order here. From latest to oldest. This is an interesting little story that has been popping up in my little news feed thing for the last week or so, I want to say. This school superintendent in Des Moines, Ian Andre Roberts, he's a categorical, right? He's a certain category of categories, let's say. Till I get my stream deck or whatever hardware, I can just hit a button and instantly have a beep, so I can just he's one of them. Well, I guess he got by ICE. I remember last week when I first read it, he ran from ICE officers and abandoned his car, and they found, I think, a handgun, a knife, and some drugs in his car, and then they caught him. I guess he's here illegally, yet he's working for a school district. I mean, go figure, right? Now, it turns out he lied about having a doctoral degree from a university in Maryland that he has claimed for many years. I would assume the last 2 years that he has been a superintendent for this Des Moines school district. So not only is he here illegally, not only is he setting a great example for the kids at this school district by running from the cops, and did he crash his car? I don't remember. Probably illegally carrying a gun on school property, which, I'm as a staff member of a school, especially in the climate that we are in with school shootings and the like. I don't necessarily blame any individual working at a school, although he's a superintendent, so he works at the school board building, not at any school, which means there probably wouldn't be a shooting happening there. But teachers and other staff members, I wouldn't blame them because you never know. That happens in your classroom and you're able to put a stop to it because you're also carrying, I would say, that's a good thing. But the school district would probably still fire that teacher or put them in jail, even though they potentially saved countless lives. That's the world we live in, though. As fucking ass backwards as everything is. So I guess this guy's gonna get deported. It just, really, there's a subscription. There's a paywall on the Des Moines Register. A local paper website has a paywall. And they want to charge you $159 for the first year. Dude, the Atlantic, WAPO, New York Times, they don't even charge that much. A local paper's trying to charge you that much to go on their website? Yeah. Not gonna happen. Even if I lived there and cared about going on the news, wouldn't happen. There's ways around paywalls. What else can we go? I don't want to go in order because I want to save the best for last here. Other thing I wanted to just touch on, I guess. Here's a good one from Arizona. No, Utah. It's on an Arizona website, but it's from Utah. Students from a school in Utah are traumatized after a classmate brought a gun on a field trip and shot themselves in front of others. Police said the 9th grader from Canyon View Junior High, 9th grade, so what, 14? 15? Shot themselves while on a field trip at South Fork Park. Flown to a local hospital where they died. KSL, whatever this, KSL, that's not the site I'm on. I don't even know what KSL is. Does not normally report on suicides, but because the student brought the gun to school and fired it in front of other students, it brings it to another level. Well, all I can say on that, and, it's just attention seeking. It's the ultimate attention seeking. It's kind of dumb because, once you're done, you're not getting any more attention because you're dead. They're paying attention to you, a memorial, or most of the kids are probably going to make it about them. Like, I can't believe I had to witness that. It was so terrible. I'm traumatized. They don't care about the kid that did it, because the kid that did it was probably getting picked on, probably had very little to no friends, and said, I'll show them, and decided to off himself on a field trip in front of all of his classmates. That's the ultimate look at me. So, they're going to act like they care about him, right? They're going to be all, oh, it was so terrible. But it's like, honestly, why was the kid in the position to shoot himself? If he had friends, if he had a half-decent social life, which I did, half-decent in school, I didn't have tons of friends. I got picked on like everyone did. I never once thought of doing this. It never even crossed my mind to bring a gun to school and turn it on myself, let alone even the people that picked on me and shit. I kind of stopped getting picked on for the most part around high school. like middle school, I went to a majority. A lot of schools I went to before middle school and my middle school were majority black. So I had to deal with that a lot. But I never thought of coming in and, oh, I'm going to kill all these niggers. No, I thought, well, these guys suck. And, you know, I got in a couple fights because of it. And that was it. I guess that's how we used to do things. Nowadays, the instant thought in their head, the number one option is, hey, let's bring a gun to school and let's kill all these people that pick on me. Or, in this kid's case, let's just kill myself in front of them. That'll show them. It's sad, you know. It's sad for the kid's family. You can even say it's sad for the kid who cut his own life short before it even started. But it's it is what it is. I wouldn't say it's sad for the kid because he chose to do it himself. You could say, oh, well, it was more of a demonic influence that made him do it. Okay, I'll give you that, because that's true. But I would say even all the steps you had to go through to do that, right? Take the gun, plan it out first, and then take the gun, go to school with it, have it in your backpack or neatly concealed if you're able to do that as a kid, and have it with no printing and no one even notices it until you take it out. You had all that time, but in that final moment when you take it out and actually do it, there has to be an oh shit, am I really gonna do this, where you actually stop and think about it for a second before you do it. So yeah, demonic influence is one thing, but when it comes down to it, he's the one who put the gun to his head and said, I'm actually going to do this, and fucking shot himself. And had to make a big deal out of it and quote-unquote traumatize everyone around him. Instead of just, oh, I want to kill myself, everyone hates me, I have no friends, I'm an incel, whatever his thought was. And just going and doing it in the privacy of the woods or his own home or whatever. He had to turn it into some extended pity party, let's call it. And, you know, it is what it is. Sucks to be him. Because, depending on your view of the age of reason, I don't think there's any actual age set, but 14, 15, right? 9th grade. He could be, he very well could be rotting in hell for what he did. Who knows? Because suicide, you go to hell when you kill yourself. That is, that much, at least, we as Christians know. Which is why many Christians... How many Christians have actually killed themselves, I wonder? Just been like, you know what? I have faith in Jesus. I have faith in that God is allowing me to experience what I'm experiencing for a reason. I'm not going to get overwhelmed by it because I know I have my eyes and my heart and whatever set on the truth. And then they just say, fuck it. And, you know, blow their brains out. I wonder. The world's going crazy, man. You got kids killing other kids, kids killing themselves. You also have, across the pond over here, this is an interesting one. And I say it's about time. UK, baby. Keir fucking Starmer describes the fight for the soul of the UK as the populist right rises. This is from New York Slime, so expect some manipulative and biased language. Prime Minister Keir Starmer, I'm surprised they're not calling him the Right Honourable Sir Keir Starmer, of Britain, denounced what he called the politics of grievance on Tuesday, seeking to revive his plummeting approval numbers with a warning about embracing intolerance directly aimed at the anti-immigration party Reform UK that has surged in popularity against the country. Well, I wonder why. I wonder why they're surging in popularity. Could it be that the people of the United Kingdom have had enough? I mean, are they really standing up more than we are over here in the States? They've been subdued for longer. More and more of them have accepted that as reality than here in the States, I would imagine. Although, who knows, right? It's pretty bad over here, too. With Scottish, Welsh, and a fresh set of municipal elections just 8 months... What? Scottish elections, Welsh elections, and a fresh set of municipal elections just 8 months away. That's worded weird. Mr. Starmer said in his annual speech to Labour Party loyalists that the choice facing British voters between Labour and Reform is a fork in the road that will determine the fate of the country's democracy. Oh, give me a break. Democracy. Like, it's such a bad thing if that is altered in any way. We can choose decency or we can choose division, renewal or decline. It is a test, a fight for the soul of our country, every bit as big as rebuilding Britain after the war. Yeah, gift of the silver tongue there, Keir. Decency or division. Is decency having it so that natural-born British, genetically British, Anglo-Saxon, whatever, people are being arrested for flying the Union Jack in their own country? Is that decency, Mr. Starmer? No, it is not. That is called evil. That is called subversion. That is called a hostile takeover of what was once one of the most, if not the most powerful empires in the world, the British Empire. Now, only inhabiting, Britain, and maybe some territories here and there, little islands. And being arrested for flying your own flag in your own country. Having areas in major cities that are majority immigrant, let's call them. Let's just be fair. Because I should call them invaders. In fact, I will call them invaders. I'm just in that kind of fucking mood today. I'm going to dispense with the niceties. Entire areas of major cities in your country, majority populated by invaders who come from countries with cultures and worldviews and religions and whatnot that do not line up with yours at all. To where if you walk or drive through those areas, you may be stabbed, you may have acid thrown in your face, or you'll be arrested for maybe, I don't know, wearing a shirt with the Union fucking Jack on it, or flying it off of your car when you drive by. Is that decency? Is that the soul of your country? The soul of your country is surrendering it to people who hate you? to people who want to take your country and turn it into their country. That's what you're rebuilding Britain as. You're rebuilding it as the Middle East. You're rebuilding it as Somalia, Mr. Starmer. Apparently, Nigel Farage, having once described mass deportations as a political impossibility in Britain, Farage recently changed course, presenting a plan to deport hundreds of thousands of people, including some who had been previously granted a long-term right to remain in Britain. Okay, under what authority? And for what reason, might I add, do you need people from all these other countries to have long-term rights, or rights to stay long-term in your country? Now, I would say the same about America. What reason do we have to be accepting hundreds of thousands a year? I believe the number was up there, of immigrants from all over the fucking world. I mean, Southern and Central America, Asia, lots of Chinese, Africa, Haiti. I mean, aside from the Asians, I would say these are people who are not going to come here and contribute for the most part. The Asians will come here. They're very smart. They will open their own businesses. They will contribute to STEM a lot. They already do. I wouldn't so much trust the Chinese, though. We shouldn't be letting so many Chinese into our country because, after all, they are still our enemy in the long run. And China plays the long game. China doesn't care if it has to go through 3 or 4 different leaders and wait a couple hundred years. They have a plan. And when the time is right, they will strike. I would say the same about Russia, but Russia is a bit of a paper tiger, as Trump described them. And, you know, I wouldn't have said that a few years ago, but after seeing what's going on in the Ukraine, they're either just really holding back and wasting people's lives and wasting their own technology and wasting munitions and wasting time for some reason that we don't know yet, or they really are getting fucking trounced over there. My money's honestly on the latter. I know there are actually plenty of people I've spoken to who disagree with me on that, but, you know, I think all the evidence shows that Russia ain't all they cracked themselves up to be, man. So it looks like, Farage. Multiple polls suggest reform, led by Farage, an insurgent party with... Insurgent. No. Don't use that word, New York Slimes. You don't know what that means. Insurgent party with only 5 members of parliament would trounce Labour if an election were held today. In his speech, Mr. Starmer cast the choice as a test for voters. It is one that some of his own allies fear he might not pass. Well, I mean, you keep pushing these people. You keep pushing your citizenry. You keep forcing them to integrate with people they don't want. You keep shoving it down their throats and ruining their lives or accusing them of being Nazis or fascists or whatever, taking their jobs from them, taking their benefits if they have them from them. You're going to start seeing some pushback. You can't force your ideology onto other people. Now, I'm not against forcing ideology onto other people. Personally, I would like to force my ideology on other people. I would love to run the country and make everyone follow a Christian worldview. But that's just not how things work. And it especially shouldn't be how they work when you're forcing things that aren't true. See, I would be forcing truth onto people, living the right way onto people. Keir Starmer and the Labour Party in Britain and the Democrats here and also the Republicans and the Soviet Russians, for example, or Pol Pot or Mao Zedong, they're forcing the wrong way onto their people. And by forcing, in a lot of times I'm referring to, yes, with violent force. Anyone who knows about the history of communism in the world knows that millions of people had to die in order to enact it in the countries where it was most prominent. So there's more challenges. Oh, shit about Gaza. Alright, I don't care about any of that. I just wanted to comment on this fight for the soul of the UK. What a joke. What an absolute joke. How did that man get into office over there? How? Well, people are blind. I think it's a little deeper than that. Maybe I'll get into that later, but let's just, for the sake of time, say that they're just blind. They don't know what they want. So they let people in that are going to destroy them. And then when they're getting destroyed, they don't understand why. What else do we got here? YouTube to pay Trump $22 million for suspending his account after January 6th. I find that to be interesting. I don't know if it's like a, oh yeah, it's a lawsuit. Alright. Of course it was. What was I thinking? In addition, YouTube will pay $2.5 million to the other plaintiffs on the case, include American Conservative Union and Naomi Wolf. Isn't there something else I saw? Oh yeah. Trump administration has recently had its knives out for YouTube TV. FCC Chair Brendan Carr pressuring the service to resolve its dispute with Fox, which it eventually did. Oh yeah, YouTube will also announced this month that it will launch a process to reinstate accounts of content creators who have been banned for spreading misinformation about China virus and the fairest election in history. I wonder why that is. Were they pressured? Was that a part of the lawsuit? It doesn't say on here. But I'd say I knew it was coming. It was only a matter of time. They couldn't fucking press that shit forever. Too many people. You have way too many motherfuckers out there questioning the validity of that election. Questioning the validity of all the information we were given about the China virus. You have officials even questioning it. You even have one story come out from the CDC or whoever, and then a little later on, they go back and contradict it. It's like, oh, see, everyone was saying that a few months ago. It comes out as true. But since it was kind of swept under the rug, all labeled as misinformation suppressed, people were silenced, the majority of people don't realize that's what was going on. So they say, oh, the CDC came out and said, and it's like, yeah, but didn't you know people were getting their accounts taken from them? People were being deplatformed for saying that exact same thing a few months ago, a year ago, whatever. But now it's come full circle, and YouTube is reinstating their accounts. By reinstate, I mean, it's been years. I'm sure most of these people won't even know their accounts are reinstated. They've probably just made new ones since then. I mean, who that actually wants to make a show on YouTube after YouTube bans them doesn't just instantly say, okay, make a new email, make a new show? That's why most people serious about it have social media and other ways you can watch their show. They can say, okay, I made a new account if you want to watch on YouTube, and they post that channel everywhere else that they post things. And they instantly have most, if not all, of their subscribers back within a week. It's all just lip service, man. It is lip service. And it's gay. But, you know, everything that these big tech, media, the powers that be, so to speak, everything they're doing is gay. Including what this scumbag Larry Ellison, co-founder of Oracle, which I guess Oracle's been in the news a lot lately because of TikTok. I don't fucking care. TikTok can rot for all I care. Co-founder and chairman Larry Ellison described a future where everyone, including law enforcement, will face regular surveillance as daily life is documented seemingly non-stop. Doesn't that sound like a great future? We were just talking about this the other day, too. I mean, it's already happening, right? There's nothing we can do about it. You got red light cameras everywhere. Do you think they're only used to catch people speeding or running a red light? Every fucking building, damn near every building you go to, is going to have exterior security cameras that are watching the road. People have them on their doorbells, which are looking out at the street. So anything that goes on in front of their house is now captured. And let's not forget the obvious. People have the shit in their houses, right? Smart TVs with cameras and microphones in them. Your TV remote has a microphone in it. Your computer, camera and microphone. Your smartphone, the most obvious, the one you carry with you everywhere. Now, you know, it's a lot of information, right? That's a lot of data. I don't think that they are actually capturing video and audio and whatever from like every fucking device in the world that's connected to a network. It's just being harvested. We don't have enough storage space for that. Unless, you know, some of these companies really have some crazy shit that they're not going to admit to that isn't being released to the public. And I mean, like, petabytes, what's above that? Yottabytes, some shit like that. I mean, if we're moving up that big in scale, in storage space, if anyone has it, right, it would be the NSA. It wouldn't be Google or Meta or any of these fucks or Microsoft or Apple. It would be the NSA. Now, I think the article actually gets into this. Because like I said, it's not... The system is in place, right? They have all the hardware ready. They just don't have the ability to activate it full scale. At Oracle's financial analyst meeting last September... Last September? Why is that just getting posted now, then? He predicted artificial intelligence will help process the vast amounts of footage recorded by cameras placed on everything from car dashboards and front doors to security system and cops. Not cell phones, though, right? Not webcams on computers. Not traffic cameras. Not those automatic license plate scanning cameras that are starting to pop up everywhere. Not when the first smart city gets built and literally every square inch of it will be under surveillance somehow. We're going to have supervision, Ellison said. Every police officer is going to be supervised at all times, and if there's a problem, AI will report that problem to the appropriate person. Citizens will be on their best behavior because we are constantly recording and reporting everything that's going on. Big Brother is watching you. The all-seeing eye is all-seeing. Those comments have gained fresh relevance now that his company has emerged as a major player in the AI industry and is poised to play a critical role in the deal for TikTok's U.S. operations. Oracle, aren't they the ones that I remember back in the day when I was setting up a computer and you had to download JavaScript and you had to download Flash for your internet browsing to function as you wanted it to? This shit didn't just come pre-installed in browsers and on computers like it does now. You actually used to have to go download Java and put it on your computer. And I remember the little logo on it, Sun Microsystems, Oracle. And now, apparently, they're all big in AI. They're going to buy TikTok or manage it or whatever. The most popular social media properties in the country, TikTok. The company had been an AI infrastructure provider and stunned Wall Street earlier this month by reaching a $300 billion deal with OpenAI, which will purchase computing power over about 5 years in one of the largest cloud contracts ever signed. And earlier this week, OpenAI signed deals with SoftBank and Oracle for new data centers as part of the massive Stargate project. I haven't talked about that much on this channel. In fact, I haven't looked into it in pretty much since before the election. That's something that that's one thing that kind of really pushed me away from wanting Trump. Of course, I didn't want the other one, but this whole Stargate thing, I mean, it's... I would imagine that maybe not a majority of people on the right, so to speak, but a good portion of them aren't into this whole AI, technocracy, transhumanist future that it seems like Trump is pushing for, and especially at the time his best little buddy there, Elon, although they aren't necessarily buds anymore. I mean, Elon's fucking insane. The shit that he wants to do, all the AI, the robots he's making, Neuralink, he wants to have everyone have a fucking chip in their head, a Neuralink in their head by a certain year. And people actually like him. People on the right. It's like, you don't understand that everything you guys really want, all your freedoms, your liberties, your privacy, everything is going to go out the fucking window with guys like Musk? With this Stargate crap that they want to make? But you're still rah-rah behind him because he wore a MAGA hat. People are blind, like I said. But Oracle is expected to be among the companies that will buy TikTok's U.S. business from ByteDance. Oracle will spearhead U.S. oversight of the algorithm and security. Is that supposed to make us feel better? I mean, I don't use TikTok, so I could care less. I don't like algorithms, period. It was scary. A while back, one of my buddies wanted me to make a Snapchat to get in touch with him because he's in prison. And there's a phone in there that kind of gets passed around between certain inmates that may be paid into having it or whatever. And he said Snapchat was the most efficient way to get a hold of him. So I made this Snapchat with a email that I made specifically for that. I made it on a VPN, so it wasn't like tagged to my phone's IP or anything. I didn't have any other social media at the time. And yet, somehow, just for making that Snapchat, not in any way tying it to me, before I even added him as a friend on there, I was getting recommended people. I'm like, let's see what, because a lot of them I didn't recognize. I started recognizing people. People from years ago that I hadn't talked to. People I specifically did not want to talk to were coming up on there. I was like, wait. VPN, brand new email, phone that has never had any of their numbers on it. Phone number on that phone had no connection to anything else that could possibly link me to any of them. And yet this algorithm figured out who I was and started showing me people that lived on the other side of the state that I hadn't talked to in years. Now that shit scared me when it happened. Of course, that phone is no longer with us, and that Snapchat account went with it, and I just never bothered to try and get back. I don't remember what his name was on there. I couldn't find him. I lost his phone number. Lost everyone's phone number, and you know what I said? It's for the best. And I will never make a Snapchat or a TikTok or any of that shit ever again. I've never made a TikTok, but no social media, man. And I suggest everyone else does the same. Get off of that shit. The more we feed into this network, the more data we throw at it, the more powerful it becomes. Because algorithm, that term's been around for a while. It's always been a form of AI. Just because it's not the large language model or whatever, like ChatGPT and the other ones are, it's still artificial intelligence. Or at least it's used to power an artificial intelligence. It's like the bare bones of one, maybe. I'm kind of speculating, I guess, a little, but I can picture how that works. I might be wrong because I'm a retard, but President Trump on Thursday afternoon signs an executive order clearing the way for a deal to put TikTok in U.S. hands. I would have rather he just told China to keep it and banned it in the States, but, you know. I guess Trump's not as base as everyone thought. That's what I would have done if I was king, not president. I would abolish the government and make myself king for life. Maybe not for life. I'd probably abdicate my throne eventually to, if I had a kid or something, or someone else that I knew would carry the torch, right? I wouldn't want to run a country for my whole damn life, man. My hat's off to the kings and queens throughout history that have dedicated their lives to running a country. Not just 4 years, not just 8 years. They did it throughout their whole lives. And some of them did damn fine jobs. I will say so myself. Trump said Oracle and Ellison would play a big role in managing the app, while conservative media mogul Rupert Murdoch, no shit, and computer billionaire Michael Dell would sit on the board. Trump hinted that 3 more blue chip backers are also part of the ownership group. Well, you know, there's nothing good coming out of this. That's all I'm going to say. This is exactly what I would have expected Trump to do, something like this. Because he's kind of becoming a bit of a technocrat. Maybe he always was one and just waited till now to really show his hand, so to speak. I mean, Jade Vance definitely is. It was a weird and interesting pick. J.D. Vance, of all the people he could have picked. kind of told me, because when I had to look into JD Vance, I'm like, oh, where's the money that is behind him and the kind of things he supports. I'm like, oh, this isn't good. And then he's got Musk coming in too. It's like this is just ushering in the exact shit that a lot of us former Trump supporters, right-wing people, are against. But enough of that. Enough of that, because I can go on about that shit all night. How the mass shooting and a devastating fire unfolded at a Michigan church. As what's his name would say, Tony Danza, when he had his show, thoughts and prayers go out to the Mormons at this church. Far below the piercing spires, this is from Commie Nonsense, by the way, atop every Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints chapel rests a sign that beckons visitors welcome, a testament to the faith's robust evangelizing efforts. It's too bad that LDS is complete nonsense, not Christianity. It is heretical. I'll just start by saying that. But on Sunday morning, a visitor took advantage of the church's open arms, plowing his truck into an LDS chapel in Michigan, shooting worshipers with an assault weapon. I guess in that case it was an assault weapon because he was committing an assault with it, but otherwise it would just be a rifle, and setting the building on fire. At least 4 people were killed, 8 others were wounded. The assailant, a former Marine and Iraq war veteran, died in a shootout with police. Sunday's attack, which is among 324 mass shootings this year so far in the U.S., is being investigated as an act of targeted violence by the FBI. The latest place of worship to be devastated by unrelenting gun violence. No, it was devastated by a nut job who happened to use a gun to do it. I mean, what better way, right? The chapel joins, among others, a Catholic church in Minneapolis, a synagogue in Pittsburgh, and a Sikh temple in Wisconsin. Why would they go after the Sikh? What have they ever done to anyone? What do I know? I could be wrong, but of all the fucking faiths to go after the Sikhs, they were gathering for different reasons: to celebrate the start of a new school year, to mourn the loss of a church leader, which is this instance, or for a Bible study. Many were praying. Well, pray as they will. I'm sure God will consider them martyrs. Not saints, maybe. Who knows? I would say martyrs. Let them on up into heaven. Sundays are supposed to be a time of reflection and worship and peace, says Timothy Jones, who belongs to a Mormon congregation 15 minutes away. A big bang and the doors flew open. It had been what the denomination calls a fast Sunday, when members are globally encouraged once a month to forego 2 meals and donate the food or money they would have spent on it to the poor. Fasting is common in the LDS churches in times of mourning, which the church was in, because its leader, the leader of the Mormon faith, Russell M. Nelson, had died just a day earlier. By late Sunday morning, when the worshipers had just finished the sacrament, the attack began. We heard a big bang and the doors flew open. A 4-door pickup with 2 American flags sitting straight up against the back window in the bed rammed into the front of the chapel. The driver, 40-year-old Thomas Jacob Sanford, fired several rounds from a rifle at the worshipers. Another churchgoer was trying to help some elderly ladies into his car when the gunman opened fire on their vehicle. We were trying to gather as many people as we could, Brian said, his button-down shirt stained with blood and right hand wrapped in gauze. What, did he get shot in the hand? I saw the active shooter come out of the building, and at that point I just started trying to drive away. Gunfire wasn't the only danger. The suspect had started a fire inside the building. Churchgoers rushed to protect children, shielding them, moving them to safety. Some of the primary children she taught on Sundays were hurt. Hurt? Were they shot? I'd say that's a little more than hurt. The fucking kid gets shot. That's like, he could die. Hurt is like, what, did he trip and scrape his fucking elbow trying to get away from the shooter? They don't say. Oh, no shit, you don't say. Paula said she joined the Grand Blanc Chapel 38 years ago. That morning, she picked up a friend for the service and chatted with others inside before the shots rang out. Police officers descended on the scene 30 seconds after the first 911 call. That's good. Why don't we have that response time everywhere? 30 seconds. They didn't have 30 seconds when fucking Charlie Kirk got killed. FBI took like 15 minutes. That cop deserves an award, man. 30 seconds. 8 minutes after police arrived, the gunman was killed, but the fire in the church had swelled. They keep loading ads up. I need to turn my VPN on. They keep loading the ads and the text is moving on me. So, I guess it seems like 7 people may be unaccounted for. Probably dead. Probably burned alive. Brutal. 8 victims ranging in age from 6 to 78 years old were hospitalized. Some striking nurses at the hospital left the picket line when they heard about the shooting and ran to the chapel to help first responders. Ran to the chapel? What is this hospital, like right across the street? Human lives matter more than our labor dispute. Well, that's good. I'm glad that these nurses and... Oh no, this is Teamsters Local 332 President Dan Glass. The male nurse. Okay. Chapel building is a total loss. FBI is investigating reports on Sanford used an accelerant like gasoline to light the church house on fire. I'll say. Evidence technicians went to process the scene after the fire was extinguished, and investigators said they found some suspected explosive devices. Suspected? You should know if it's an explosive device or not. Hoping to find a motive. He hated people of Mormon faith. Well, that's kind of a weird thing. Why would you hate just the Mormons? If you're gonna, hate Christians, that's one thing. I mean, Mormons are nonsensical. Their faith is based on a false prophet who did it for money. But I don't hate them. You shouldn't either. They're killing Mormons. I've seen a change in this world, said Walsh, the woman who lives near the chapel. Did they mention this woman earlier in the article? I don't remember. I've seen a change in this world, she said. There's so much hate in this world. I just don't understand it. Well, lady, you should understand it. If you live near the chapel, I guess you don't go. If you were a Christian, you should understand where this comes from. It comes from... Come on, you know this. All the hate. The misplaced hate at that. The attack on people just trying to worship. I mean, look, I don't like Jews. I don't like Muslims. As far as my worldview goes. But that doesn't mean I want to go shoot up a mosque or a synagogue. What's the difference between me, who doesn't like Jews or Muslims or Mormons for that matter, and people that would go and shoot people while they're worshiping What is that difference? I'm not going to say, because anyone listening to this should know. I still have a lot of tabs left, and I'm already at an hour. Because you know me, I tend to ramble on and on and on. Let's touch on this real quick, because I don't really care about it, I just find it interesting. Andrew Cuomo, if you follow New York's politics, which I don't, but for some reason it gets thrown at me. I guess Eric Adams dropped out of the New York mayor race and did so sitting on the stairwell of the mayoral mansion with a picture of his mama next to him. The blacks sure love their mamas. And now he thinks he might win against Zohran Mamdani. Now, from my updated knowledge, because CNN likes to do this thing where you open a tab and read through an article and say, okay, I'm going to talk about this on my show tonight. And then when you reopen the tab later, it's an updated version. Well, he actually beat Andrew Cuomo out of the primary, the Demon Rat primary. So Cuomo is now going in as an independent and thinks he has a chance to beat this communist, Zohran Mamdani. Well, I don't think it's going to happen. I think New York is going to, as dumb as those fucking New Yorkers are. Yeah, any New Yorkers listen to this, you're all a bunch of fucking idiots. The whole lot of yous. You can't even talk right. You can't even speak English properly. And you keep electing morons time and time again to run your city. Well, you know what? You get what you pay for each time. You want to put this communist pig. Why don't you say pig? He probably doesn't even like pig because he's Muslim or something. You guys should, whenever you got him speaking in front of the city, in front of the public, whatever, people just go there, start eating bacon. Throw your shoe at him like they did George Bush, because that's a huge sign of disrespect. Show this guy what you think of him. Because most of us think he's a tool. And a very dangerous, sharp tool at that. Because he's going to win. You're going to have this fucking nut running your city. And then what? He wants to redistribute wealth. Which in his eyes means take money from white people and give it to non-white people. How's that fair? It's not, motherfuckers. It's not. It's just like that shit I was talking about earlier. Which escapes my mind. This is basically his way of saying, oh, we're going to make reparations happen in this city. Why would it take a communist? Well, I guess, of course it would, because the whole concept of reparations in and of itself is communism. Just like, allow me to sidetrack for a second here. Just like the concept of insurance is communist. I was speaking with my father not too long ago about this. And he thinks he could not get it through his thick fucking skull. And I love the man, but damn can he be stupid sometimes. About how this is a communist principle. How does insurance work, right? Everyone pays in. Everyone pays in, oftentimes an exorbitant amount. On the off chance they may need it one day. Now, they could go 10 years without ever needing it. But they're still paying all this money in. Where's their return? If you get a job somewhere, and that job offers you health insurance through them, usually the way it works is they're paying a premium to get you a lower rate, and you're paying into it too, but less than you would if you were to just go to that insurance company on your own. Now, if you have that insurance and you work at that job for 3 years and then say you get laid off, or you get fired, or you quit because you move somewhere, or you die, you don't get that money back. The insurance company gets to keep that money. What do they use that money on? They use it on other people's insurance claims. Now, if you have to use your insurance, then you get your money's worth out of it. Maybe, depending how much you pay in and what you use it for, you might get your money's worth out of it. But you gotta think, that insurance company needs to stay afloat. They have their own overhead and shit they need to pay, as well as dealing with everyone else's claims. So, not everyone's getting their fucking money's worth out of it. It's just like with taxes, for example. Public service. Things like the police or firefighters. Part of my tax dollars goes into keeping firefighters around as a public work. And I never need to call the fire department. Let's say I go my whole life, God willing, without ever having a house fire. I'm paying into it for other people who need a fire department, people whose houses catch fire. That kind of is a little socialist already. I'm not even saying that necessarily is a bad thing, because this is something that most of us can already agree on. Like, okay, we can all pay into something as important as police or firefighters. I guess they draw that line at health insurance. I don't know. My opinion on that is very nuanced. But insurance is that same business model, basically, which makes it kind of communist. A lot of people don't seem to understand that. But this Zoran Mamdani guy is definitely a communist. And New York, you reap what you sow. I've been to New York a few times. The few times I went there, when I went to New York City, I loved it. You know why I loved it? Because it was a hell of an experience, and I only had to be there for a couple days each time. And I got to go around and, have a street hot dog. Those things are great. I got to have New York style pizza. Amazing. I got to have, $15 pack of cigarettes. Not so amazing. I got to go see Battery Park and look at the Statue of Liberty and Times Square. I did not go to anywhere really but Manhattan, I think. I've been to the Bronx once. That was something else entirely. That wasn't me going there on a trip. That was me working for a moving company. And we happened to go through the Bronx and stop and get some pizza. And it was good. But why I love New York is because I was able to leave New York. If I had to live there, oh, forget it. Forget it. That initial, wow, New York City would wear off within probably a week. And I'd be like, get me the fuck out of here. Next story here. Alaska seized a $95,000 plane over illicit cargo, a 6-pack of beer. I have a lot to say on this, but I'm going to keep it short. 82-year-old veteran who owned the plane has asked the Supreme Court to hear his case and set limits on forfeitures of property used to commit crimes. I don't believe that, forfeitures of property to an extent. If you commit a crime with a firearm and you go to prison, I guess in that case, yeah, the state has to take the gun, because who else will? Ken Juppy, a bush pilot, was putting gas in his Cessna in Fairbanks, Alaska, on an April morning in 2012. Jeez. When state troopers arrived, he was preparing to fly a client to Beaver, a remote village 110 miles to the north that prohibits alcohol. It was going to be a good day, Mr. Juppy said. But the encounter ended badly. The troopers found beer in the passenger's luggage. And Juppy was eventually found guilty of knowingly transporting alcohol into a dry community. He was sentenced to 3 days in alcohol in order to pay a $1,500 for 3 days in alcohol. 3 days in jail in order to pay a $1,500 fine. I guess that's a fair punishment. I don't personally think that dry communities should exist. However, if the people of that community so wish to enforce that, who am I to say otherwise? 3 days in jail and a $1,500 fine, maybe a little steep, but not the worst thing. However, prosecutors wanted one more thing. His plane, worth about $95,000. Because Mr. Juppy had used it to commit his crime, they argued, it was subject to forfeiture. Civil forfeiture. And there are actually civilians, not lawmakers, not even law enforcement, actual civilians who agree with civil forfeiture. And I'll just come right out and say it. We don't need people like that in the world. Let's just publicly but humanely execute them. The Alaska Supreme Court agreed. He knowingly transported a 6-pack of alcohol in plain view while acting in his professional capacity as the operator of an air taxi company and the pilot of an airplane. Justice Jude Pate. Jude. Now, is this, hey, Jude, or is it, like, Judy? Either way. I mean, a woman or an yeah, let's just save that. This factor suggests that the forfeiture of his airplane is not grossly disproportional. You're taking something worth almost $100,000, something that an 82-year-old Air Force veteran is using to sustain a business that he's probably feeding his fucking family with. Well, his family's all grown up at this point. Not grossly disproportional. You shouldn't be a justice. You should be homeless. You should be begging for crack outside of a gas station. You fucking cunt. Mr. Juppy, represented by the Institute for Justice, a libertarian legal group, oh, libertarians, bless their souls, asked the U.S. Supreme Court last month to hear his appeal. Although the case seems to present a substantial question in an area that has lately engaged the justices, the state waived its right to file a response, as in, yeah, no, fuck you guys. We're the state, we have the right to do this. So wait, 2012, so has it been 13 years and he hasn't been with his plane and he's still trying to get it back? This guy's got the cojones here, man. He's got that get up and go in him that doesn't go up, get up and it didn't got up and went, okay? Jeez, leave me alone. In a sign that at least one justice is intrigued by the case, the court asked Alaska to file a brief. On Friday, its lawyers asked for an extension. Hope to submit their response in November. Justices across the ideological spectrum have been troubled by government seizures of private property used to commit crimes. I say it should depend on the crime, it should depend on the property. Only the most heinous of crimes with property that was directly related to the crime itself. If a guy robs a bank and his buddy is the getaway driver and they all get caught, they shouldn't take the guy's car He should be able to at least have his car when he gets out if all he was the getaway driver. He's not going to be in there for as long as the guys that actually robbed the bank. Just to get out and not have his car? No. And the Justice Clarence Thomas actually put it better than I ever could have, but it's exactly what I'm thinking, just worded a little better because he's a smart black man. Forfeiture has in recent decades become widespread and highly profitable, Justice Clarence Thomas wrote in 2017, and because the law enforcement entity responsible for seizing the property often keeps it, these entities have strong incentives to pursue forfeiture. Exactly. They're keeping it, and then they're selling it at auctions. It's a revenue stream for them. Of course they're going to want to keep doing it. Even though they know it's wrong, they're still going to do it. Mr. Jupy has said that was true in his state. In Alaska, they like to seize stuff, he said. They have a whole air force of seized planes for various violations. Scumbags. Here we go. Donald Soderstrom, a lawyer for the state, said taking Mr. Jupy's plane was a fitting response for his crime. Oy. For years, alcohol has had a very devastating impact on Alaska, especially rural Alaska. Mr. Soderstrom said last year when he argued before the state Supreme Court, many of the communities that have chosen to prohibit alcohol lack the law enforcement and medical resources. They are off-the-road systems, and they are primarily reachable by air. This is why forfeiture of an airplane used to import alcohol to these communities is reasonable, he said. Well, these lawyers, it doesn't matter. The guy that killed Charlie Kirk is going to have someone defending him in court. These lawyers will take anything that can be thrown their way. If they feel there's a little bit of profit in it, they will sell their soul, they will completely disregard right and wrong, they will toss their morals to the wayside and dive in for a pretty penny. Mr. Jupy's passenger was planning to visit her husband, who worked in Beaver. Her luggage included 3 cases of beer, a mix of Budweiser and Bud Light. Ooh. Getting your plane taken for that swill? Should have at least made it count. The beer never made it to Beaver. And what Mr. Jupy saw about it or knew about it is disputed, but a jury did find him guilty, and the courts have assumed that he must have seen a 6-pack of beer in one of the passenger's shopping bags. Mr. Jupy said that he did see the tops of the cans, but it did not occur to him that they might contain beer. Well, do they sell the tops of the cans? A 6-pack of can. Okay, yeah, I guess they do sell those, like, kind of open with those plastic things around them. I was thinking if it's a 6-pack of beer, I'm assuming it's bottles. 3 cases of beer. Well, it says cases. The little plastic things that kill the turtles, those aren't considered cases. So if they were cases, they were in boxes and cases. In which case, you know what the fuck that is, because it says the brand of beer right there on the case. Little nitpicky, I know, and I'm not trying to argue for this. The Supreme Court ruled that the Constitution places limits on the ability of states and localities to take and keep cash, cars, houses, and other private property used to commit crimes. The case involved Tyson Timms, a small-time drug offender in Indiana who pleaded guilty to selling $225 worth of heroin to undercover cops, sentenced to a year of house arrest, $1,200 in fees and fines, and they seized his $42,000 Land Rover, saying he had used it to commit crimes. However, the Supreme Court unanimously ruled for Mr. Timms. Supreme Court, the decision was modest, saying that the Eighth Amendment's prohibition of excessive fines applied both to the federal government and the states. But Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, writing for the court, noted the danger of empowering the government to seize private property. Excessive fines, she wrote, can be used, for example, to retaliate against or chill the speech of political enemies. Okay, Ginsburg, you're actually right about that. Yet, I'm sure you'd be okay with it being done to Trump. Yeah. Enough of that. So we don't know if they're going to give him his plane back or not. Now, on to the main events of the night. I'm already an hour and 20 in. I don't know when to stop. Apparently, I got nothing better to do with my life here. Let's just preface it with this one. Oregon sues Trump administration over deployment of National Guard troops to Portland. You remember Portland, that city that decriminalized all the drugs and became an absolute hellscape for years? The suit comes a day after Trump announced he was authorizing the Guard to use full force in Portland. The city of Portland and the state of Oregon have sued the Trump administration to stop it from deploying National Guard troops to Portland. Why? Here's what gets me about this. I don't even want to read this article. Why would any city or state that is having problems with crime, problems with drugs, problems with whatever, problems that have been going on for years and years, in the case of Chicago, in the case of Atlanta, in the case of D.C., and in the case of Portland, I'm sure there are others, L.A., Miami, fucking New York City next, maybe? Why wouldn't you want the National Guard? Why wouldn't you want more well-equipped cops with federal jurisdiction that can actually get some shit done outside of what your police force, who has been defenestrated and deballed and been told to stand down and not arrest these people and not move bums outside of gas stations that are on drugs and violently requesting money from people, let's say. Why wouldn't you want that? Do these people want their cities to become overrun with crime? Do they want the decent people living in fear? I said I was going to get back to something earlier about people being blind. And whether it's more than that or not. I mean, in fact, yeah, why not? This will be a bit of a long one, I guess, because I want to get into this. People often want what they think will honestly be best for, say, their city, their state, their country. Even people that I disagree with, I can understand that their heart may be in the right place. Their idea of what is good and what will benefit others and reduce harm may be different than what I have, right? So in my case, let's just set one example. I would say abortion is wrong. I look at it from the Christian worldview. You're taking a life before it's even brought into the world. You are prematurely cutting off a life, an innocent life at that, for your own benefit. So you can keep being a slut. Because I'm not talking about medical stuff where, like, fetal mirror syndrome or anything like that. I'm just talking about convenience abortions. I'm talking about abortions because I got raped and I couldn't bear to, well, that's life, man. Sometimes people get raped. You should, because once you have the kid, chances are you're going to be like, wow, I just birthed this child, and you're instantly going to love it and want to give it a good life, hopefully. But the other side would say, "Oh, abortion, we need abortion. I want abortion to be legal and widespread because it's what's best for these women that want to get them." Both of us are doing, or our ideology comes from what we think is right. You would say both of us are coming from a place of pure heart, maybe. And I don't personally believe this, but I would say from the neutral observer would say that we're both doing what we think is right. We both want what's best. So I would say, are these people really just blind? Like, I would say the pro-choice person is blind to the reality of the situation. Are the people in these cities that are fighting against the National Guard coming in and cleaning shit up, are they really just misguided? Or is there something more to it? Because I would say that there reaches a point where you can say blindness and purity of heart and good intentions can only go so far. And it just turns into willful evil. It turns into an intentional doing of what is wrong. Are they really that? Do they really feel that the homeless and the criminals and the mentally ill and illegals and all of the, the victim totem pole, as it were, everyone on that is really just such a victim, and we need to just coddle them and give them everything they want? Oh, he didn't commit that crime because he's evil. He committed that crime because he's mentally ill, and he just needs to be shown the right way. He needs to be told, like, forgiveness and love. Well, I mean, that happened. There was that woman who I think, like, a dude killed her mother or something, and then he got out of prison and she forgave him. It was like a public thing, and gave him a job working at this whatever that she was at, and then he ended up killing her too. That's the reality. Which is why I say what I'm coming from is, yeah, there is a line there to be drawn. There is just fucking evil sometimes. More often than not. And I would say that these people running these cities, people running our country, some people that have even bigger power than that. Let's not get too conspiratorial here, shall we? Have nothing but bad intentions for the average, half-decent person that gets up and goes to work and just wants to live their fucking lives. Free of crime. Free of having the fear of, I need to carry a gun everywhere I go. Women feeling like they need to carry guns and pepper sprays and tasers and shit. Because they don't know if they're fucking walking to their car at night after work, if they're going to get raped. Or I'm walking up the fucking street or going to a gas station at 1:30 in the morning on a weekend because I'm drunk and need more beer. And I don't know if the large black man approaching me is gonna ask me for some money, which, I mean, I get all the time. The bums, and the not even the bums, the people go, hey, I need some money for, man, my gas, I ran out of gas, bro, I need it. And they do that to fucking everyone. It's like, yeah, you were doing that same fucking thing, and I saw a guy give you money, and then I come back to the store, an hour later, and you're still out there doing it. These fucking scheming beggars and shit. You don't know if they're coming up to you for that, or if you're about to get stabbed or some shit, right? Most of us just want to live our lives. And it seems to me Now, after I finish saying this, I'm going to present the other side of what I believe, which is kind of conflicting here. But it seems to me that Trump and his deployment of the National Guard is more about ensuring the safety of the everyday person, of cleaning up these cities that are especially high in crime and filth and degeneracy and nickers. Or is it more some Jade Helm shit? Yes, that's what the thumbnail is. It's Jade Helm. You don't know what Jade Helm is? I suggest you go look it up. Of course, all you're going to find is that it's unhinged conspiracy theory nonsense. But the thing is, it actually did happen. Trump says the U.S. military should use cities as training grounds. Very, very fine line to walk here. President Trump told the nation's top military officials at Quantico, probably this morning, that troops should use dangerous American cities as training grounds. Trump has used crime as a pretext to deploy troops to Democratic-led cities, with the National Guard patrolling the streets of D.C. and Portland bracing to become the next target. Trump, in a scattered speech during Tuesday's address to military leaders at Quantico. Was it scattered? It could have been. I don't know. This is Axios I'm reading from, by the way. They claim to be middle of the road, but they are Trump haters. They are just leftists that are trying a little bit to hide their rhetoric. They don't try hard enough, as you can tell. He said forces would be going into Chicago, which he described as a big city with an incompetent governor. Truth. Trump has repeatedly floated applying his D.C. blueprint to the Windy City, which Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, fucking moron, and a fat moron at that, has adamantly resisted. Armed federal agents are already on the ground in the city as part of an operation aimed at detaining undocumented immigrants, as they should. He also claimed Portland looked like a war zone, despite political and community leaders decrying the proposed military action. Well, if Portland's anything like the pictures I last saw of it, war zone, yeah, a little bit extreme, a little bit of an exaggeration, but it's pretty bad. I mean, Kensington, do we need to go clean Kensington up? Because that's about what Portland is. Locals have shared images of a city that offer a stark contrast to the president's description, and by that they mean locals have shared images of parts of the city that don't look anywhere near as bad as the rest of it. Because they hate Trump, and they will literally burn their own city to the ground to protest. See the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone / Capitol Hill Occupy protests. All the proofs you need. What he's saying? Trump told military leaders we have to handle the so-called enemy from within. He referenced an executive order directing the defense secretary to establish a National Guard quick reaction force for nationwide deployment to help quell civil disturbances. I'm kind of for that, although I can see that it could lead to something very bad. Trump defended his domestic use of troops, arguing he's not the first president to use the military to keep peace. I don't know. I can't think of a time in recent history that's happened, although I could be wrong. The Posse Comitatus Act. That's the one that bars federal troops from participating in civilian law enforcement, except in cases expressly authorized by the Constitution. They capitalize the C in Constitution. What a mess. Or Congress. Two very outdated institutions. He said he saw an image of a soldier being spit on and screamed at, saying he wants to knock the hell out of the person, but he's not allowed to do anything. Well, someone spits on you, you should knock him out. The president encouraged soldiers to hit people if they are spit on. Good. If demonstrators throw rocks or bricks at cars, he said, federal law enforcement should get out of that car and you can do whatever the hell you want to do. I wouldn't say want to do. I mean, that's a tempting thing, but more whatever the hell you need to do. Trump said he told Defense Secretary Hegseth the military should use some of these dangerous cities as training grounds. Earlier in his address, he named a number of cities run by radical left Democrats that he vowed to straighten out. Straighten ... out. I hope he said straighten the fuck out. Give it a little bit of oomph there, Mr. Trump. President Trump. Much of the Trump administration's targeting of blue cities has come in the form of surging immigration enforcement. What's bad about enforcing laws that we already have on the books that are not unjust, unconstitutional laws? Nothing. But they want to frame it like, oh, he's targeting our cities by, enforcing immigration law. Maybe if you guys weren't knowingly harboring and coddling illegal immigrants, this wouldn't be a problem. This is going to be a major part for some of the people in this room, he said. He's talking to military leaders. That's a war too. It's a war from within. Controlling the physical territory of our border is essential to national security. That is true. What is a country without a border? What is a country without a border? That's the end of the article. And, I would say that, again, look into Jade Helm. I see how this can quickly turn bad if the wrong people decide to do it. However, in the context that it's being done, that Trump is at least presenting that he wants to do it in, I'm all for it. Then again, I don't necessarily trust Trump, so maybe I'm not all for it. All I know is something's got to be done. But the last thing we need is a true hostile takeover involving our own military, which I don't think would happen. I think that a majority of the soldiers wouldn't just be like, oh, following orders here. I think if they were turned loose on them, a lot of them would stand the fuck down, and let's just say it wouldn't be pretty. It wouldn't end well. And with that, I am off. I am off to... It's already 7 o'clock. Holy shit. I'm off. I will see you on Friday. Thanks for tuning in, all 0 of you. See you next time.